My guest today was an executive chef for an NFL team, wanted a little change of scenery in the scenic Mount Dora, Florida area, where the pursuit of prime meats and mouth-watering deli-style sandwiches is a passion. Please welcome the owner, the chef, the butcher. Heck, he may even be the candlestick maker of the Butcher's Nook, Mario Penaherrera. What's going on, man? How you doing
Thank
today?
you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Everything good, man. Having a good day.
Awesome, man. I love hearing that. So usually I like to always ask this, but when it comes to restaurant owners, this is kind of be a two-parter.
Okay.
So the question is, what's your go-to lunch? But obviously, I want you to be able to give the
Right.
what's the go-to lunch at the Butcher's Nook, and then
Okay.
what's your go-to lunch when you're not in the Butcher's Nook? Like if you were just like regular day, or if you had your way of eating anything you wanted.
All right. Let's start. At my shop, go to, man, it would have to be that Diablo sandwich. It sets off. It's got the right heat, right amount of meat, different flavors, crunch, spice, cream. It's just a great sandwich. That's my go-to.
What's the Tell people what the Diablo is, since you've already
So
kind of explained all the wonderfulness about it. But what are they eating if when they order one?
So the Diablo consists of ham, a Calabrian salami. There's a Calabrian chili aioli, some arugula, smoked Gouda cheese. We add also a induja spread. So it comes in a toasted ciabatta, so it's nice and warm. Kind of melts that induja and just sets everything off together, man. It's a
I
good
love it.
sandwich, and we source all that from the Spotted Trotter out of Atlanta, Georgia, which they have an amazing provisions. It's good stuff, man.
And then if you're not eating something from the Butcher's Nook, what's
Not
the
eating,
go-to lunch or sandwich there?
man. Honestly, and it's not kind of biased, but I would go to the Frog and Monkey for their spicy Korean sandwich, man. It's a fried chicken sandwich with the slaw and kimchi, and it just hits right, man. The right crunch on the chicken, the flavor. It's a nice sandwich, man. That
Nice.
and a side salad. I usually go for the salad just because it's a huge sandwich. So, but the fries are the bombs. But you gotta have enough room to fit the whole meal, man.
No, I get it, man. I get it. All right, so tell people a little bit about, like, if they've never heard of the Butcher's Nook, tell people a little bit about what it is, and what made you want to open it.
Butcher's Nook. So Butcher's Nook is it's a little concept that came out of just the love of sandwiches. Growing up in New York, I was always around sandwiches, bodega, corner stores, sandwiches. It was just growing up with that. Obviously, being with immigrant parents, we were left with a big loaf of bread, a bunch of meats, and kind of build your own sandwiches. Siblings of four, so that's what that love started. But Butcher's Nook is really a micro butcher shop where we focus on high quality meats from smaller ranches. Not too many local, just because it's been kind of hard to source good flavor tasting local stuff. Not that there isn't, but I'm just more curated. I'm so micro in my shop, as you see, and it's very small. So we focus on quality stuff. And then I decided to add a little branch off of delis, and we provide everything that we do is either imported or, like I mentioned, from spotted trotters, places like that within the United States, higher quality ingredients, and we sell everything that we have in our sandwiches by the pound also. So if you want to take it home, make yourself a sandwich, by all means. Came out of the necessity. Mount Dora downtown just doesn't have an in and out shop. Everything is a restaurant, great restaurants, great bars. I was focused on the people that work there, the community that just are looking for something more like picnic-ish, grab a sandwich, go sit by the lake. I saw a need for that. So that's where kind of that idea just transformed. And we've been there for a little over a year, and obviously we are still transforming the shop and playing along with what the community and the flow. Very touristy too, so it's kind of hard to gauge in Mount Dora.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably get a mixture of you get some local flavor, but then you probably get
Correct.
a lot of a constant rotation of new people coming in from just
Exactly.
out of town or even
Out of
local, but just
town.
coming to
Yeah.
visit, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned you've been in the area for not that long of a period. So I said in the intro about you being an executive chef, and I know that I can I say the team that you were the
Yeah,
executive
yeah,
chef
yeah,
for?
yeah.
So you were executive chef for the Miami Dolphins.
Right,
I'm not gonna stay too long on it. But when I was talking and I told my daughter, she brought it up, and I was like, no, I'm curious about this as well.
right.
What I want to know, and what we both want to know is, what was the Dolphins' favorite meal, or the most requested meal by the players or the team that you had to do during that time that you were executive chef for them?
The most requested meatballs. They just
Really?
love meatballs, man. Yep. Meatballs and then Victory Mondays, which, we didn't have too many of those when I was there. But when we did, we would hook them up with wings, burgers, just junk food. But,
Yeah,
obviously there was no fryers there. So everything's air fried or seared or just the most natural. That was the most challenging part, was really trying to make these guys actually eat this food
yeah,
with it being as healthy as possible. So
yeah,
that was a constant challenge. But I that's what I love about the job, that I was constantly having to learn and work with the nutritionists and develop new ways of incorporating special ingredients in them. But the meatballs, honestly, I'm proud to say this, I even had Dan Marino. Dan Marino was a huge fan of my video because he was a consultant, so he was always in the facility,
yeah.
um, and he would look forward to Meatball Mondays
Okay,
because, yeah, yep, it
I
was
love it.
good stuff, man.
So I know that based on what I know and what I've researched and stuff, I know that you originally kind of wanted like a little change of scenery. I know an opportunity came from after working with the Dolphins, kind of, like, hey, I kind of you wanted to kind of be able to do do something a little different. And I know that you got involved with the Frog and Monkey restaurant and pub, and they're in the basement of like the historic Renaissance
Correct.
building
Yeah.
in Mount Dora area. And then I know that also led to I guess like somewhere in that same facility, like the Funky Monkey Gastropub Bistro. I wanted to kind of get an idea of like that whole idea of like what led you to want to open that, and then what led that from you branching off from those two concepts to saying, hey, I want to sell like prime high end meats and do a sandwich shop.
Um, so we actually moved into the Eustis area, and I had originally, when I after 9 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, came to that top and just needed something a little more fulfilling within, not just
Yeah.
in that lifestyle or pocket. You know what I'm saying? So we would always travel for Thanksgiving to Mount Dora. I had family that lived here for over 20 years already. And we saw that kind of development starting to happen. And we had an idea of, when I was ready to kind of put the Dolphins, hang that apron up, we were going to start a family here, move here, start my own business. Everyone, that was the next step. I worked at great places, did a lot of great stuff in Fort Lauderdale. Um, but my next thing was kind of being my own boss and opening my own shop and seeing if I can actually handle that and do it. So we came to Eustis. I had a few concepts, but yeah, Eustis was just not what I thought. Mount Dora obviously has a population; it's more touristy. Frog and Monkey was in a pretty bad spot. They were about to sell. They were going under, and we walked in, and immediately it was just, that's it. We want this, and I say we because my brother-in-law,
Yep.
he was my business partner, who now he's 100% owner of the place. So we bought it, decided to kind of relive it. It's been there for years. It had its clientels, its loyals. So we kept the same name, kind of updated the menu a little bit, did, kind of implemented everything from house, no more bottle dressings, everything was made from scratch. Um, Survived COVID, then we decided, you know what, we need a liquor license. Let's open up another place so we can have fun. And we opened up the Funky Monkey. That was a complete new concept we'd opened up, and that would be in the second floor. And that's more like a night vibe, bistro, cocktails, live music, DJs on the weekends. So that was that, man, and it was great. It brought the people in. Everyone was happy. It's what Mount Dora was kind of looking for. And then wife and I looked at each other and we said, "All right, we're ready to start a family." And I knew that with the restaurant, man, it was gonna be not what I wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to kind of have that experience and be able to help out, with my kid and be there. And with unfortunately with the restaurants, that is your baby. You know what I'm saying? You're there. You're taking care of a bunch of other babies too. um, so luckily, my brother-in-law was 100% with taking over and decided to kind of take a break. I took a little 2-year break and dad with different hobbies, actually making candles. It's
Really?
funny it's funny you mentioned that. Turned my garage into a workshop where I made potteries and candles and opened up an Etsy shop. And then Roots and Flora was born, which is another company we own with my wife. That's really more her. It's a flower shop, vintage Volkswagen. That's really my side of it. I started buying cars and doing auctions and doing different things, but I love food, man. So after the 2 years, I was like, all right, time to get back into what really makes me happy. And it's really not just food, it's about the communication you
Yeah.
have on a day to day, the different walks of life, or just even seeing someone smile with something that I've created. It's amazing. That makes my day. So I was liking that, and I knew I needed to get back into the food scene, and that's how Butcher's Nook was born, man. I knew I wanted something in the food scene without having to be so tied up with a full blown restaurant.
Yeah. No, makes
So
sense.
that's why this concept, no late nights. I have easy hours. I can kind of close. It's a lot easier to take on.
Yeah.
I have 3 employees. I'm good. So that's how Butcher's Nook was kind of like born, and here we are.
And so the idea, since obviously Butcher's Nook, and you mentioned the idea of the prime head, high end meats like the
Yeah,
wagyu beef and stuff like that, and bringing that stuff in is just because you just saw that there was not really a market or anything in that area for you to
correct.
be able to do it.
So I would notice myself. I would go to other areas, Winter Garden, to find better cuts. Go to Orlando, and a lot of the times, just the convenience of it, I would find myself, just buying crappy buy one get one meats from Publix and eating a lot more red meat than I ever did because it was buy one get one. It's just load
Yeah.
up on the meats. It's cheap. Um, so that kind of led to that, yeah. Having an outlet for people. I know that people like to go out to steakhouse around here, and they don't mind dropping a few pennies. And unfortunately, a lot of restaurants don't carry the same quality that I am providing. You know what I'm saying? Just because the markup would be ridiculous in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I'm in that option and that kind of gap that was needed for people to just pick up something and experiment. Nowadays everyone with YouTube and TikTok, man, everyone's a chef. You know what I'm saying? There's no way you can mess up a steak nowadays.
Yeah.
There's
No.
so much, information out there in different ways. So yeah, I was very surprised that the A5 Wagyu, sells pretty good at the shop. And
Okay.
so it's interesting to see what people are into. So
What about when you decided you wanted to be like, hey, I think I want to do use some of the meats to actually make sandwiches and stuff like that? What's the most popular? I know what would we say is the most popular sandwich that you guys
um,
are selling at the butcher's nook?
so most popular is going to be the Italian. And I think that's just by default. It's a comfort sandwich. You get an Italian where you kind of know what's going on there. And then the downtown. The downtown was just a sandwich that um, and it's funny that I named it the downtown with no intentions. It reminded me more of a New York thing. I grew up in New York,
Yeah.
in Brooklyn. So I was thinking downtown city, like corned beef, pastrami, caramelized onions, a little Russian dressing, Gruyere cheese. But that sandwich is just, it has everyone hooked.
That it's got me hooked.
Yeah.
Um, have you? I'm just kind of curious. Just to back it up a little, like, Was there some like early like culinary experience or anything that like kind of shaped you to get into wanting to do cooking and get into in the food industry?
Um, Honestly, I don't, it's just it was one of those things where I was working at a telemarketing spot when I was probably 18, 19. And it would just drive me crazy to be like this in a cubicle in front of a computer and just like going away or being on the phone. I know I needed something more hands on, just with a little more, I guess, immediate satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? Like if I cook something and I see you eat it, I'm immediately I know I'm
Yeah.
doing a good job type of way. Um, and that's how it happened. My manager at that spot, her husband worked at a restaurant. He was the GM there. And she goes, "Who knows? He might hire you." And so I applied. He hired me as a dishwasher, and that was it, man. I was hooked a year and a half after I became the sous chef for that restaurant. So I knew there was something in me that was, the drive. It was work ethics. I haven't gone to culinary school. I've just been taught by the right chefs, and more than anything, I think it's the ethics, man.
Yeah.
You show up with just your heart into it, and it shows, man.
So in the last year, how important do you think the connection between food and community is and plays out within the Butcher's Nook?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, sometimes we do these uh, dinners, side dinners, where I host and I get 20 people together and do it communal style. We'll put all the tables together. I bring out the fancy chinas and the glassware. And it's awesome to see people that, probably even live next to each other. It's just great to see the community kind of bonding, forgetting about everything else, and all we're doing is focus on the food. It's great. I mean, I've been honestly very fortunate, especially in Mount Dora being a small community. With before with the Frog and Monkey, now with the Butcher's Nook, it's just opened up so many doors to meet so many interesting people. People that honestly, I know people that used to live in Sunrise and Fort Lauderdale, where I used to live, and now they're up here. And it's just interesting to kind of catch up with a whole another world when you're actually talking. And for a lot of that, you don't get that. Other
Yeah.
cities, you're kind of just like, excuse me, out of my way. Need to work, need to do this, need to do that. Here, outdoor especially is just very community driven. So I think that with the dinners and stuff, it's just opening up to a lot of different, networking, and it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful to see people come together and forget about uh, problems, politics, all this stuff, and all we're doing for 3 to 4 hours is just having a good time and talking about food and talking about traveling and where you taste that, and I don't like this and I don't like that. So it's awesome,
And then that's something that you do. It's like your monthly supper, Sunday supper, right? At the Nook, you do
Sunday
that. So
supper.
usually it's about
Yeah.
monthly.
Yep, yep, yep. I took a little break right now since we're gearing up for the opening of the other shop. So I'm kind of been running around with that a little bit, but it's usually we do the first Sunday, we do like a big supper, whether it be Italian, Latino style. We switch it up every now and then. So
How do people find out about that and sign up for something like that when you
it's
decide to
all
bring it back
social
up again?
media,
Okay.
driven. We will be putting them on the website now once we update that and get some dates on the calendar. So,
Okay.
and
By the way, I love this because as we're talking, all my notes, we're literally transitioning to every single thing. Makes me feel like I actually know what the hell I'm doing. Because you brought up the second location in Apopka, and I know that's like the hall on Fifth.
yes,
I was intrigued to find out like will it be similar to what's going on right now when you go into the Butcher's Nook in Mount Dora, or is there another like are you adding an extra flavor? Maybe so you're gonna try something different, or maybe it's a little bit
right,
bigger, so there's more seating. Like what can people expect if they go when that happens? I know that's like most likely spring of 2025, but
correct.
what can people expect when they see when they go to the Butcher's Nook on Hall on Fifth?
So it's gonna be we're gonna focus on the meats part and the whole by the pound, so you get everything by the pound. I am gonna bring some of my staples, but I do want to add some salads, make some interesting special sandwiches for the Apopka crowd, and kind of have them here a little bit different, but it's pretty much going to be Butcher's Nook number two.
Okay.
So up to the counter, you order little brown baggie, good to go, wrapped up in paper, old school way, same way. So
I love that.
yeah,
I love that. No, I think that's great. I love the fact that we you so I got to go, and obviously if you listen to the show, you'll know Stephanie, one of my friends from Goat Solution. That's one of her favorite sandwiches. I'm jealous because she's very close, so she gets to eat it. And but that was the she got to try it for the first time with me when she came, and so
right,
she's hooked on it now. But what I love about it is that like the location where you're at, you've kind of created this great synergy with like the bar next door, so that way if you want, like, you don't have to worry about the whole idea of liquor license or anything like
right,
that. But you could be like, hey, come next door. And you even told me like, hey, yeah, tell them you're picking up, you're eating here, and they'll
correct,
work with you. And like, and I love that because that is like so important to be able to have that connection with like the different shop
yeah,
owners and the
yeah.
different aspect, because it also led me to be like, hey, I want to go to another shop, and then let me see if there's another, what else is in here as
That's what
another
it's
one.
about. Yeah.
Because I think that's so important to be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that that's one of the biggest satisfactions I get from the shop is being able to collab with so many different owners. Like you mentioned, Maggie's from next door. They have a great program where if you take it out to go, it's 40% off. So I encourage a lot of people, yeah, go. You could bring it back, or you can go next door and we'll come find you. We'll bring the sandwiches or your food order to you at Maggie's, or there's a nice little alley where you can hang out outside, live music. I mean, it's a great little nook, that little corner. I love it, man. It couldn't have worked out better right there.
How did you come across that location? Was it like a location that was, and what was it before you, like, did you have to do a lot of like retrofitting or fixing before you
No,
got it?
no, not really. It was minor work. So before it was a little Cuban spot.
Okay.
But Mount Dora already had two big staples that have been there for a long time, Cuban restaurants.
Yeah.
So they lasted about a year. It was vacant for a few months, and I kind of that was it. I jumped on it. I knew that I needed to get into Mount Dora. Mount Dora is a really hard place to get in. Not a lot of spots are open, and if they are, it's because they're just very, very expensive. So that was an opportunity. It was just like, all right, let's go, let's do this. I was looking for a bigger spot because I wanted to do a full blown bodega. That was my initial idea, was a bodega. I wanted to have, the goods, even the toothpaste, and just have things available for, because there's a lot of Airbnbs and different
Yeah.
bed and breakfasts around that area, but there is nowhere to just get essentials or get a quick sandwich, before. So that was my main idea, and just nothing would open up. And then I saw that little spot, so that's why it just turned into, all right, well, now we're just going to be a little butcher shop with the deli. So
Oh man, it hits. It definitely
yeah.
hits. How are you balancing the creative side of like cooking with along the business side of running the butcher's nook, as well as also balancing family life, like you said? Like it's a tough one to kind of be able to do.
Oh yeah, no, it's
How are you trying to balance? How do you try to balance all of that?
um So the cooking aspect with these suppers, that's my outlet. That's how I get creative. That's how I get, we get outside of the box and kind of utilize. Obviously, we're showcasing a lot of our wagyu in the dishes and different prime meats and stuff that we have in house. Um, the family is this shop, man. My hours are, I some days I'm there till 3 o'clock. We open 10 to 3. We do a small little breakfast program on Sundays. Mondays I'm there till 4 o'clock. Thursdays the same. So I have that time to kind of um, be home, be home
Yeah.
with my family, enjoy some time off. Tuesdays were closed, and I try to stay away from, even if I'm doing some work, I try to stay away from the shop. So I'm this time around, I'm being very cautious and trying to divide my hours. It's not easy because sometimes you just gotta, go 100% with something. But um, I think right now I'm kind of managing to find that balance finally, and it seems to be working out. That is, of course, until Popka gets a little more closer, and then it's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
was
like,
gonna say, I'm like,
ah.
it's like a kid. That's like a kid. Like once you think you figured him out, they pivot or they
Oh,
do
for
like, a
sure.
change happens, and then it's like, oh
Yep,
nope, now I got to refigure out the
absolutely. Yeah.
formula. Yep.
Yep, yep. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Same way with my toddler right now. She's, 3 years old, 3.5, started school. Now she's coming home with a completely different vocabulary and things. I'm like, okay, now it's time to adjust here. Like,
Yeah.
so you're right. Yep.
Yeah. No, I love that. What do you do? Do you do anything for fun? What's a fun hobby or fun thing that you like to do for yourself?
Cars, man. I'm into cars. I like just cars, hiking, and believe it or not, I cook, man. I just enjoy cooking. Days off, I like to host, have barbecues. I'm constantly just trying to develop new sandwiches, new flavors. Um, and right now, it's all about my kid, honestly. With my 3-year old, that's my fun time. SeaWorld, we try to get out to wherever we can and spend
Yeah.
as much time together.
No,
So
man.
that's where it's at right now.
I totally agree. It is a fun age. They're all fun ages.
Yeah.
I have a 16-year-old, so I definitely
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun when you go through it. What advice would you have for someone wanting to start something?
Just do it. Just do it. Just go follow your heart. Just do it. Manifest it. Be positive about it. Wake up with the right attitude and just do it. Don't doubt yourself so much because then you'll never know. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to go with it and surround yourself with the right people, man. The right vibes will definitely lift you up, because there's unfortunately there's too much hate out there, man, and even your closest people sometimes, which is a little jealousy, can do a lot of damage sometimes. So surround yourself with the right people and just go for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where we did here. I did not think that it would be where we're at right now with the butcher snook so quick. Um, if I wouldn't have done it, and again, surround the right people. My wife pushing me to do it. She believed in me. She's always said, "Your sandwiches." I've always been into sandwich making sandwiches, like just always been a thing of mine. And even my, believe it or not, my the one of the owners for the corporation for the Miami Dolphins, um, said that's what you are all along. Like you should have opened up a sandwich shop a long time ago, because even when I was with them, I would make so many sandwiches. And so, it's just surrounding yourself by the right people, man. Getting that little extra push by someone always helps out. You definitely need help. It's
yeah,
hard to do it just alone, man. So, because you can get discouraged, your mind could just send you to weird places and you start doubting yourself. So, but just got to do it.
yeah, man. I totally get that.
Yes, sir.
I totally agree with that. Getting yourself around, supporting with the right people, and everything like that. Uh, I'm so obviously with success, there's also failure. So like, and then obviously you learn from that failure. Are there things that you've learned along the way from failure, especially when it comes into the food? Because I mean, this is a very competitive, very difficult industry to be in.
It is.
It's like one of those where, like you said, it basically either takes all of you and consumes you,
Right.
and burns you out and then spits you back out, or or you kind of figure out a way, the proper, you either find the balance or you figure out like, this is how I'm going to handle it. So is there anything that you've learned along the way, failure wise, that you could maybe share with someone that you've experienced, that maybe they can get something from it?
Um, it's speak up. It's about speaking up and believing in yourself, believing what you're putting out there, your thought process on things. The beginning years of my careers, a lot of times I would just okay, just to satisfy people, and unfortunately, I would just push myself back and allow other people to kind of gain, you know what I'm saying, an extra step. So I learned to kind of no, let me put myself out there. Let me speak up. Let me also have an opinion. You got to put yourself out there again. You know, that's I think for those few years, I think if I was the way I am right now, I could have done a lot more within the early years of my career. You know, but again, I learned from it. Now I know exactly how to handle situations like that, and just be real. You know, I am as real as you get with my crew, with my team. I am no different than what I am at home or anywhere else. I'm the same way at the shop. Yeah, that is my home.
Yeah.
So I treat everyone with respect, dude, and that's what it's about. You know.
That's great, man. That's
Yeah.
great. I love that. How can people follow you and support you? And what recommendations that you're thinking of, like if they go to Mount Dora and they come by and check you out? Any other you want to let's name drop some places in Mount Dora since you're already out there,
Right on.
taking a trip out there, because you basically have become kind of like a destination spot, right? Where
Yeah.
people are
Yeah. Man.
specifically, or if they're coming to Mount Dora, they want to come and eat at your place. They're already there. You might as well. There's so many other shops out there. I know
Right.
that's what I did. I walked around all of Mount Dora. And got to see quite a bit of different little shops and little places while I was there, since I was lucky enough to get some food and enjoy a sandwich with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mount Dora is a great town. It's a walkable town. It's open carry, so you're allowed to drink all over
Oh, it's
town
good to
as
know.
long as yep, as long as it's in a pass the Cub. Great places like Maggie's, which I mentioned is right next to me. Pisces, also they're on the waterfront. We actually get our focaccia bread every morning from them. It's bakery fresh, so it's right there, fresh for us. They have a great waterfront there. Sunset, amazing, best in town. You got to hit up Serendipity, best craft beer bar in Mount Dora by
Okay.
far. A lot of places. Frog and Monkey. It's you got to hit up Frog and
Yeah, well, I
Monkey.
definitely want to try Frog and Monkey because I want to try
Frog and
that sandwich,
Monkey.
that chicken
Oh
sandwich
man,
that you
that
said.
Korean, yes, it's fire, and it's just unique. It puts you somewhere else because you go down into the basement, very cheer like, you know. So it's part of the experience. So it's a cool place, man.
Nice.
And Andorra is just it's that you walk around. There's a lot of parks that have picnics, the waterfront, live music everywhere. Usually every weekend from Thursdays on, you'll find live music somewhere in Mount Dora. So
Yeah.
outdoors, again, just great people, great vibes, man.
And where can people follow and support you?
Yeah, so butchersnook.com website, Butchers Nook, Mount Dora, both Instagram and Facebook. So hit
It's
us
awesome.
up. Yep.
I love it. And then and obviously keep when you do, as you're listening and you start following them, you'll out of curiosity, is the second location going to have a different Instagram, or you got to put everything on one Instagram?
For the time being, it would be one until we kind of play a little bit, a couple months, and then we'll see if we branch it off and do its own thing where it's going to be Butcher's Nook, Mount Dora, Butcher's Nook, Apopka. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm curious. I'm also curious to see what the sandwiches are going to be there. I'm
Uh
looking
huh.
forward. I'm
Yes,
looking
sir.
forward to that. If you need a taste tester, by all means, I'm always available.
I
Just so you know,
got you. I got
I'm
you on
off
that
on
quality
Fridays, so
control. All right.
we can definitely work something there.
Perfect.
That's our show. I like how I just plugged myself there. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Mario of the Butcher's Nook in Mount Dora and future at Halls and Fifth in Apopka for being on and having hanging out with me during my lunch break today. Definitely make sure to check them out. If you go, I can't say it enough. One, let them know that you heard it on the podcast, or that you heard if you read an article. Ironically, we were just talking offline before I started that my friend Amy Drew also wrote about him, and we both literally went around the same weekend as we went. And and it was kind of funny because she mentioned that Mario mentioned about me, and then when I was talking with her, she's like, yeah, she's like, I actually was talking to Mario about you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what a small world when it comes to food like that,
Small
right?
world. Small world,
But it's
man.
meant to be. That's the whole thing. Like delicious sandwiches, great I did not pick up any meats, but I will in the future, but I definitely will say definitely stop by and go get a sandwich. It's definitely, you could tell, made with love. The Russian dressing I know obviously is made in house as
Oh
well.
yeah. Oh yeah.
As well as all the dressings.
Absolutely.
But I mean, the pictures, you'll look at the pictures, you'll be like, yeah, I need to go there. Obviously, if you go, make sure to take pictures as well and post it and tag us on it. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe, tell your friends. And if you want to support my brand, check out Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow
Dude.
your passion.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.